So AI can really help us as engineers to become more productive. It can help us write code, it can help us generation tests, drafting spec design, doing code review for us when it used to be a human have to do that, or suggest architecture decision for us to make. But that means if AI really can help implementations and now part of our thinking work, what does it mean for being a software engineer that is senior? Well, let's think about it. Now, as junior engineers with the right AI tools can actually produce and deliver some feature or some projects faster and in the same quality or even higher quality sometimes uh, than the same things that an experienced engineering can deliver. Well, AI might or might not replace us as engineers soon and somewhere in the future. But one thing definitely, AI is changing the way we work, the way we recognize what is the engineering capability. That said, well, a lot of engineers now may look like they are senior or they are ready to be a senior much faster, but are they? And that's what I want to discuss today in this episode. My name is Maya Shavin, and this is Be With Maya podcast. We're going to discuss about what it takes to become a senior engineer in the era of AI. Up until now, whenever we want to talk about how a senior engineering is a senior engineer, well, the criteria is very straightforward. It can be how independent the person, I mean the senior engineer, in implementing and leading the deliver of feature, how autonomous they are within team, how good they are in debugging or handling critical situation, problem solving, writing tech proposal, or even technical foundations, how good, how solid they are in a certain domain. Those things, those criteria mentioned here, doesn't come at instantly. Those things require time and effort to master. We have to practice, practice, practice over and over again, and that's what we call experience. But with AI, a lot of these criteria can easily be achieved um, by the system. Well, let's say if you want to implement a new component instantly, here we go. AI can definitely do that. Well, if you need help with architecture design spec, here is some ideas that can with pro and con. Cursor can definitely analyze your code base and propose you a diagram, a clear diagram about how different components connect to each other instantly within minutes, right? And with you want someone to review your PR, well, absolutely. It's now become an AI domain here. And yes, AI is very helpful. Tools like Cursor or Cloud Code or Copilot is very, very helpful. I like AI. And I must say, it's helped me a lot. It helped me with my onboarding process to my new team. It helped me to navigate within our large monolith code base without failing in a speed that I wouldn't imagine myself can do it without it before. But then as these tools are getting better in helping with execution, and now some part of the human domain thinking, what we are actually measuring when we say someone is senior. Because those criteria are not the solid criteria anymore when it's have AI involved. Well, this is where I think we might have been wrong. Let's say the difference, the barrier between junior and senior may look blurry, but it's still there. For example, looking at the clean and thoughtful uh, looking or like presenting architecture design can give you a phase sense of capability, can give you the phase sense of readiness. The decent code with 100% test coverage and a very well written PR description tend to give you the impressions of well done and professionalism and productivity, because we as engineers not all the time we write the PR with a lot of description very solid because we just want to finish with it, right? Why AI is really efficient in generating the artifacts for us to use, like a spec, like a punch of code, like tests, like a PR ready PR to be reviewed. It really cannot guarantee that the engineers that use the artifacts really fully understand everything around it. Well, for example, I once have an engineer in my team developing of new features based on high level docs. Well, and the thing here is that instead of going through this specific doc to understand the concept, the scope, the things about the feature, or researching the current structure of our code base and start to implement the proposal like we used to do, the engineer fed the docs to AI and asked it to generate a design proposal based on its understanding of the current code base. Then the result, the design proposal come up is very clear, looks very organized and well written. And the engineer took the design and submitted for review. And during the review section, this is where things happen. He couldn't answer a single questions, and um, he couldn't solve the challenge that were raised by one of our team member around the design. And that's the problem. That's the real problem. The generated proposal can guarantee the engineer have fully understand on aspect of it, including why, what trade-off, how, what risk we are doing, and what are the hidden assumptions that we overlook, and what can break in production. And because he didn't understand it fully, he won't be able to answer the questions that were raised by other team members. And of course, he couldn't challenge the AI proposal during his interaction with the tool. And in addition to it, because AI doesn't have the full context apart from the code base from the doc that he given, which is static, the proposal become fragile. The proposal can become potentially risky to implement and to deliver. And that is the real dangers. Not because of the hidden bugs AI generated, may how many bugs that it may not hide in this proposed specific proposal design. It's because the engineer should take ownership of the whole design. He didn't take ownership with, even though with this well written proposal, he can appear like he is a senior. In fact, he's not. So he may look like a senior, but he's not there yet. Well, in this case, he's already a senior. What happened if the team decided to move forward with it? They trust his proposal, and because of the time constraint, they don't have enough time to review his proposal. That's the real problem. Because having a polished output generated under perfect conditions and unaware of the actual context, the actual dynamic context that can happen, is very, very different from making decision, making proposal during uncertainty. Well, we always talks about how productive AI help us. But to be honest, I think we didn't talk enough about how we grow in making decisions under certainties. This is like an underrated conversation discussion. A lot of our experience gained from handling incident response, gained from struggling to navigate through the new messy code base or a new project, a large project that we're not familiar with. No one ever likes to struggle, me included, because it's like a waste of time. You take a lot of time just to navigate to understand, and you're still not very sure that whether you are breaking it or not. But this unsure feeling and this struggle is something that teach us how to grow. It teaches us system thinking. It teaches us to double check whenever we do with other before we move forward. It teaches us how to make a good decision after we make wrong decision and see the wrong decision fail. It teaches us how to deal with situation when we struggle to debug a performance issue and learn for the next time. It teaches about trade-offs, about alternatives, so on and so forth. Getting code review or doing a code review for someone else really teaches us the skill of judgment, a skill of pair programming, and how to provide a constructive feedback. And all of this learning process here really matter. It builds piece by piece how we are as the senior engineer, what kind of engineers we are focusing on, what specialty we are, and of course it's build trust among our team and how we work with others. But now if AI help us to skip these tasks by handling them for us, what will be left for us? Are we really still accelerating learning, or we skipping these valuable learning steps? Well, one more thing that's for certain. Faster doesn't guarantee learning better. Just like the difference between a vibe coder and a real developer. Be able to say, I understand why and how this works, and this is why I propose it. It's totally different from AI gave me something that worked and I think it's okay to move forward. This applies to everyone. We're talking about senior, but this applies to juniors to seniors. If we use to learn and gain experience partly from doing all the hard work ourselves by trying and failing, what will be the new learning mechanism when AI took over this hard work for us? And that's the real question. Okay, so in this case, what does senior actually mean now? Well, I would say a senior engineer still need to first and foremost needs to know how to ask better questions, and that require practice. Let's say, for example, AI can give you three architecture options with pro and con listed very clearly, very organized. We still, as a senior engineer, you still need to decide. You still need to ask yourself or ask the question to AI, which one fit this product, which one actually will be more suitable, and why it does like this and not like that, and what trade-off it should be. Knowing where the AI may be confident, but actually strongly confident, and the context that you have as a senior should be much higher than broader than what the context AI has. So you still need to be aware of all the context, on the stakeholder, and what actually being discussed at the real time, and what trade-off the leadership will accept, what timeline that will make this become realistic or unrealistic, what kind of consequence that we have to deal with and we have to manage in 6 months in 1 year if we're moving forward with this decision. AI cannot do that for us. We actually have to think in a broader sense. We cannot finish with what AI proposed. And what happened if the decision is wrong? All of these are questions that we have to raise ourselves as the senior engineer. And of course, we need to be account. We need to take full ownership, and we need to be there when something is not clear to clear it up, to move things forward, and we have to own the decision that we'll make. Whether it's from AI or from us. And another part of what defines a senior engineer we heard a lot is mentorship, about making impact, helping others to grow. Well, I would say AI can also mentor a junior engineer as well by guiding through step by step of the thinking process, by doing pair programming step by step. Well, not exactly like the classic pair programming, but you know what I mean. But the real mentorship will not just include how do you do this, how do you debug this, how do you solve this. It will be more than that. It including knowledge transfer, but it's also including noticing where the confidence gaps are, and where how are we going to guide a person to go through when he needs help. Well, AI doesn't have eyes, so it doesn't interact with you daily and wouldn't know that you are struggling or feel like you are struggling in order to propose to help. And of course, mentorship is also means that to create grow opportunities for others, giving feedback, even though it may sound difficult, you're giving feedback to help other people to grow. And with all of this, you build trust as the mentorship goes. And this is what makes a senior, asking better questions, taking ownership, accountability, and mentoring. So no, I don't think AI will make engineering levels become irrelevant. But the one thing for certain, I do think that AI changed the way seniority actually means. Now, if AI can help with implementation, documentation, test generation, review, even part of the technical decision making, some of the signals, some of the criteria we used to associate with senior engineer is definitely uh, become irrelevant. That's certainly. But with the rise of AI, being a senior nowadays is less about being able to produce a polished output, but it's more about knowing what to question, when to question it, what to trust, and what to challenge the AI to get the output that you think that it makes sense to you because you have the experience to challenge it, and what you're willing to own when things get complicated or ambiguous. And with that, conclude our episode. And now it's your turn. What do you think that defines a senior engineers in this new period of AI? Well, feel free to comment or to tag me. I'm interested to hear your opinion in this. And if you enjoy this episode, follow Build with Maya podcast on Spotify, YouTube, or wherever